Hello, Fiber friends, and welcome to the JillianEve Podcast. This is my first podcast in over 2 years, so we are going to treat this as the first fresh episode, because it kind of is. I'm going to talk about a lot of things today. We will have a story time, some spindle reviews, a couple new spindles. I'm trying them out. We will have Manda from the channel Manda Made It tell us about her new wool washing adventures and business. I have some textile news to share with you, and of course, I'll have my own project progress. What's on my needles, and I'll also show you styling a recent thrift shop find that I have and some fun things like that. I have done a lot of videos since my last official podcast here on the channel. I make a lot of spinning tutorials and videos about specific projects that I'm working on, usually with hand-spun yarn and often with a historical angle. Sometimes they're knitting, sometimes weaving, but very often I have things going on that don't always fit into a full tutorial or make it into my bigger project videos. This is my solution to that. I want to gather all my loose threads so we can weave them in together. So welcome to the JillianEve Podcast. I'm Evie. Let's get spinning and cast on. I'm going to tell you about what happened to me the very first time I ever spun yarn on a spinning wheel. My first spinning wheel was my vintage Ashford traditional. I had already been spindle spinning for a while, and this spinning wheel, it was my big splurge. It was my very first wheel that I had bought, and I've since painted it. But here's what happened. I had a braid of fiber, so I split it in two, and I spun up, 2 bobbins, and then I plied them together, as you do. They plied together exactly the same. I mean, when I got to the ends, to the tails, they lined up within an inch of each other. I had no idea that is so rare. I thought it would do that every time. No one told me that that's an incredibly rare occurrence. It's rare even for very experienced and consistent spinners. So when it didn't do that the next time, I thought I had failed at spinning. I worked so hard to make my bobbins end at the same time with every 2-ply spin I did from then on. And every time the ends didn't line up, I thought I had done something wrong. So I started to work really hard at making the yarn on my 2 bobbins match exactly. If you want to attempt to line up your plies, you can follow my tips for what I tried really hard to do to make it happen. So number 1, I weighed my fiber to have equal amounts on each bobbin. Number 2, I filled the bobbins evenly as I spun, and I did that by intensely counting my treadles and moving the hooks as I went along. That sounds really tedious, but I'm a classically trained cellist, so I played cello since I was 4 years old, and counting things in a rhythm for long periods of time was very comfortable to me. I also found the Mabel Ross books at my local library, and so that all went hand in hand when I was learning how to spin. And then number 3, while I plied, I made sure that the 2 plies came together at the same angle, so one wasn't spiraling around the other more than the other, which would use up more yards on the spiraling one. And then number 4, I watched the bobbins unroll their yarn, and I hoped and prayed that they would come out the same, because in the end, that's really all you can do. In the end, it made me a very consistent spinner very quickly because I was so intentional about it. But eventually I figured out that I had a mega dose of beginner's luck that day, so I don't worry if my bobbins end at the same time anymore, but it is fun when it happens. Have any of you ever lined up your bobbins, your plies, so that they ended at the same time? Or if you sew, have you ever had the thread on your spool up top and the thread on your bobbin underneath? Have you ever had them finish like on the same stitch? Because it's just like that. It hardly ever happens. And when it does, you're like, a miracle has happened. I have 2 new spindles to show you. These are new spindles in styles that I've never used before. One is a Mingoasho glass spindle, and one is a Fang from Lucky Snail Arts. Both makers are on Etsy, and I have affiliate links available if you want to try these out. I did purchase these with my own money, so they were not sent to me for promotion or sponsorship. Be fast if you do want to get your hands on one of these. They sell out quickly, and they're just absolutely lovely spindles, and so I definitely understand why. So the thing I think that drew me to both of these spindles was the wood engravings on them. The Mingoasho has a whole forest scene going on all the way around it. The tip of it is made from glass, and the colors on this one, it's purple and pink, and it's just like the colors in my soul. Purple is my comfort color. This is my first glass tipped spindle, and it also came with a little heart-shaped spinning bowl. It's so sweet. When working with supported spindles, the material of the bowl matters. So if you aren't getting the spin that you want, try mixing and matching different materials with the tip of your spindle and the spinning bowl to see what works better for you. I've also seen lots of spinners talk about how glass whirl spindles can sometimes kick around like they're unbalanced. And I wonder if that has to do with the nature of the glass. This one feels fine for me, and I'm really enjoying the long, smooth spin that I get from it. It's lovely. Here is the Lucky Snail Arts spindle, and this one has a fern burned into it. When I was a kid, I had a fort under a big pine tree on the edge of our yard, and across the back of that pine tree was a patch of ferns. I remember hanging out under there and just looking at the ferns and following the edge of the leaves with my eyes like it was some sort of visual adventure. I would just sit out there gazing into the ferns. I was a weird kid. This spindle had to be mine. It reminds me of my secret fort and the peace I felt when I was hiding there, being my own little weird kid self. So this spindle I'm going to call Lucy, because Lucy was my imaginary friend who gazed at the ferns with me. I was like 5. But I still have this memory burned into my mind. But you know what I have now? Real friends. So let's go sit outside and chat with my friend Manda from Coastal Wool Washing and talk about what she's up to. Welcome to the JillianEve Podcast. I would love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Amanda. I am the owner and operator of Coastal Wool Washing out of Westerly, Rhode Island. I like to wash wool. So I take scouring wool orders from small flock farms, as well as individuals who would like to have a whole fleece scoured for them. I can also offer further processing depending on the project.
Tell us how you got into this. What was the moment that clicked for you when you knew that you really wanted to wash wool?
I've been a knitter and crocheter for close to 20 years, but around 2018, I started getting more into knitting. And then as one does, you fall down the rabbit hole of spinning. And then as one does, you go into the processing, and then you get into the cleaning, the scouring of the raw wool. And so I got my first fleece purely on a whim. I wasn't supposed to. And then I did. And I got 2 of them because, of course, that's what you do. And I washed them. And in the whole process, I all of a sudden felt this level of connectedness to what I was doing. And, I'm 40, right? So like you go through this period of your life where you have hobbies, but like passions, things that really connect with you. If you don't have that, when it hits you and you get that epiphany of, wow, this makes me like something is unlocking. And I felt the thing unlock and connect me to history, ancestors, myself, the environment, the earth. As woo-woo as you want to make it, that's what it did. So yeah, in the washing of my first fleece, it clicked. And then I continued washing and I was like, I want to keep doing this.
I think quite a few of us can relate to that feeling when we have found our place in our fiber crafts. I think it's such a beautiful moment when you feel that happen. It's very relatable, at least to me.
We're all here for the same reason, right? Like we're, for the most part, we're all here watching the JillianEve channel because we have a thing for fiber.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you most excited about working on right now? Like, what's your thing at this very moment?
At this very moment, I'm just excited that I have a shop now. I've got a location to do my things. I can spread out and really dial in each section of the scouring process for myself. And currently I am working through the collection of fleeces that I have gathered. And then I'm trying not different scouring methods, but I'm perfecting my own scouring method, and processing further with my new to me super carder from Brother, or actually the Pat Green super carder. So, those are the biggest things I'm excited about.
Can you show us something that you are working on right now?
Yes,
what are you up to?
As a matter of fact, I can. I have been here working before this and playing with the new super carder. And right now, like, I have just finished carding up some mini bats, just to experiment with some Romney that I washed. This is just straight single breed bats. This is it's Romney, right? And Romney feels stable and solid, and it's going to give you drape, and just like, it's such a good addition to so many different yarns for so many different reasons, right? But how often do we work with it by itself, and just carding it by itself, the drape and the luster is just, so this is just, oof. Yeah, I know. I got excited too.
You pulled that out. I was stunned. That is the most luscious, luxurious thing I've seen in a while. That is stunning.
Yeah, thank you. It feels amazing. And, my heart tends to go more towards the medium to long wools rather than the super fine wools at this point. Everyone has a journey in their fiber love story. this is where I'm at in mine. And then one other thing I just tried, which is completely new to me, I have it's a California red fleece that I had gotten, and it was kind of on a whim. I had ordered it online from a farm, and unfortunately I can't remember which farm. And it feels so utterly different from the Romney, it's toothy, but in the best possible way, I don't know. It's so much fun to see what they do on their own. So this is another one of my projects for my shop is to do single breed bats for a little while, see if anybody else wants to play.
Well, they are absolutely gorgeous. So what would you say is something that you wish that more people knew about washing wool, like what you're up to?
I think this applies to more than just washing wool, but I have found it to be incredibly true for washing wool. You can make it as complicated or as simple as you want to. And this is really true for any hobby out there. When you filter out all of the noise, you can figure out how much you want to put into washing wool. You do not have to do, 17 scours, measure your water temperature. You don't have to do the certain ratio. Are there things that, kind of work? Yes. But you are allowed to do it how you want to. You don't have to strip every bit of lanolin out, or you can strip every little bit of lanolin out. And I think people just get so bogged down in what they think they're supposed to do that they forget to figure out what they want to do.
I agree. I've seen where people get almost paralyzed for fear of doing it wrong. And there is some creativity allowed, even with scouring. I think that's a really good point.
It's a hobby, right? People like to do. I like to do this. There are other people who like to do this. And there are people who like to do it very methodically and, scientifically and all of this. And then there's other people who just, they're just going to sprinkle things around and whatever happens, happens. And, that's the joy in something like this. It's been around for so long with so many different options for how to do it that you really can just do it what works for you.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this passion for scouring and working with wool with all of us. Where can people find you?
Well, I have a website. It's coastalwoolwashing.com. That is for scouring services. There is a price list and a contact form if you would like. You can also just email me at coastalwoolwashing@gmail.com, and I'll chat you through the process and we can figure things out. I am on Instagram as Coastal Wool Washing, and I do share a lot of stories, more so than posts, where you get to see a lot of the processes and things I'm working on. I also have an Etsy shop, Coastal Wool Washing, where I do list some of the excess things that I have. It can be just straight up washed locks, maybe some carded bats, that kind of thing. And I would love to offer to your subscribers a special discount with the code EVSUB, EVIESUB, and that'll get you 20% off on anything in the shop.
And you have a YouTube channel.
Oh, and I have a YouTube channel.
Go sub there too.
Well, and my YouTube channel is Manda Made It, and that is where I generally talk about my own personal making. It's knitting, crocheting, weaving, sewing. I do talk about scouring and general things. And so yeah, that's the YouTube side.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us, and thank you so much for sharing your discount. And I look forward to seeing all of your amazing floofs that you will be scouring and carding in the future.
Thank you so much for having me, Evie.
First of all, let's talk about The Fabric of Civilization by Virginia Postrel. On my Patreon, we are doing a quarterly book club, and this is the second book of the year. On June 24th, we will have a Zoom chat that all of my patrons will be able to join, and we are going to talk to the author, Virginia Postrel, who wrote this book, The Fabric of Civilization: How Textiles Made the World. I have really enjoyed reading this book. Many of my recent reads have been super in-depth on a particular time period or location. So to me, this felt kind of like a step back to get a broad view of the impact that textiles have had on scientific and economic advancements throughout time. I do appreciate how Postrel tells a story within each section, and it makes it much more engaging to read. It's not like a dry, boring list of facts. So I feel like this is something that an amateur historian, someone who enjoys history but doesn't enjoy reading, like dissertations, that they could enjoy reading this book. Throughout this book, Postrel brings out the incredible versatility and significance of textiles and the impact they've had throughout history. With so much of modern textile production hidden away from the end consumer, even as crafters who knit or crochet our own sweaters and winter accessories, or maybe we even sew some of our own wardrobe, I still think that living in today's culture overall, it just makes that awareness that textiles touch every aspect of our lives. It makes it difficult to fully recognize the way our pre-industrial revolution ancestors probably recognized just the vital integration of textiles through everything in life, economies, science, advancements, all of it. Postrel shows us how everything from the ancient fibers being spun by our ancestors to the cutting-edge fabrics we have today has played a crucial role in advancing our societies, whether it's the impact on trade routes, the rise of empires, or even the evolution of fast fashion and consumer culture. Textiles have been at the heart of all of these advancements or transformations. I do feel like there is a perspective in this book that wants the reader to rah, rah, rah for all the scientific advancements, or at least feel like that advancements are just inevitable. And a few people have pointed this out when reading this book, so I know I'm not alone. I feel like the premise of the book, that textiles have advanced technology throughout civilization, definitely sets itself up to take the stance that the only way out of our current predicament is with more technology. When you set up your premise that you're just advancing, it makes it hard to go back and say, wait, this was valuable. Let's carry this with us, But I think it's a really interesting discussion. So if you've ever read The Fabric of Civilization, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I hope you can join us for the book chat in June. That will take place through my Patreon, and there will be a recording so you can watch it on the Patreon if you aren't available for the time when we have the Zoom call. All right, the rest of the books. These are going to go on my Instagram. I have so many of these books. June is Pride Month, and so all of these books have LGBTQIA characters, themes, and or authors, but also feature fiber arts as a major element of the story as well. So I will post one each day or two on Instagram, and maybe we'll talk about my favorites in next month's podcast. So if you have any recommendations that fit those criteria, LGBTQIA plus rep and also fiber arts, it can be any genre at all. Like this one is a graphic novel. We have some memoir. We have some young adult fiction. We have some older adult fiction, all kinds of things. More memoir, essays, short stories, like just all kinds of stuff. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to add them to the pile. And I have a few others in my office as well. So I think that will be a lot of fun. So make sure you're following my Instagram too, because I post some fun things over there as well. And then there's one more that's, I guess, more of a sneak peek because I really haven't had a chance to dig into it yet. My newest issue, I almost said episode because we're on YouTube. My newest issue of Spin-Off has arrived, and I noticed an article in here from my friend Robin, who is the maker over at The Dancing Goats. So that is really cool. That he has an article in here. I have so many of his tools, and one of the tools of his that I have is this cute little rigid heddle. I haven't had a chance to play around with it. I want to though, and so I got this book to get some inspiration and sort of some basic instructions to make sure that I'm going about it efficiently. It's called Simple Weave Without a Large Loom by Kirsten Neumuller. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. I hope I am. I'm sorry. So I will be getting into this book. I haven't read it yet. All of these things just arrived, and so that'll be a little teaser for next time. On my needles right now, I have couple things. I have the Night Shift shawl by Andrea Mowry. I like using hand spun yarn in a mosaic knit. It really shows off the color and the texture in the yarn. But friends, I need some advice on this one. I feel like my shawl is turning out very thick, and I'm not sure if I need to keep adding to it or block it really hard and treat it more like a shawlette. I don't know. The main colors are all worsted weight commercial yarn that was dyed by the wonderful, fabulous Frenchie of Aroha Knits. That is the green here, the sort of peachy color, and the blue over there, and they are all dyed with natural botanical dyes. Very cool. And then the rest of it is my own hand spun, and so I have like the brown here, and it repeats over here. This is some Jacob that I spun, and some other blends, and yeah, some other different things I spun up that I can't even remember what they were. There's some wool, some alpaca, all kinds of things. There's just so much going on. But this pattern works so well with all the yarns in there, and it's so pretty. I just feel like maybe my gauge is too thick. Maybe I should have sized up my needles, but I mean, I'm not ripping it back now. So do you have any advice for me? Is blocking going to be the magic cure for my thick chunker of a shawl? I mean, I'm hoping it will. But even if it stays thick like this, I mean, I'm not mad at it. I can wear it like as a bulky in the front kind of style, and it'll be lovely. It'll be warm and cozy in a few months if I survive summer, because wool is not the thing I'm reaching for at the moment. What I am reaching for is linen. Did you know that Patton's has linen yarn? I found these at my local Joann's, and at first I was afraid that they were using linen to refer to the color or the texture or something, but like not necessarily the fiber content. I've been lied to by Camel before. I can't even talk about it. I'm still sad. It's too soon. Anyway, this yarn is a blend, but it does have linen in it. It is 65% cotton and 35% linen. I got several colors. I got blue hosta, sage, cauliflower, and English rose. And the first pattern that I tried this out with was a tablet woven belt. This project came out perfect. and I love it. I played around with the pattern. It came out looking just wonderfully medieval, but I've been wearing it as a history bounding element with some of my dresses and tunic shirts, and it's really cute. The second project I'm working on with this yarn is called, what is it called? It's a lace edged scarf, and it's called Streusel from Blue Peninsula. It's designed by Bonnie Sennett, and I'm having such a great time with this pattern. It's because of the yarn. You know how knitting lace can be like a trust the process kind of process? You can't always see what's happening in the lace until it's fully blocked, but not so with this. I can see my lace pattern. It's so open and crisp and enjoyable to work with. It's just really beautiful. Look at that. It's getting wrinkles from my project bag. Thank goodness we can block things. Oh, it's going to be lovely. I just need to get that finished up. And last but not least on the needles, I have a pair of socks. These socks are called Diamond in the Fluff by Leslie Comstock. It's a really great pattern for hand-painted yarn, and I like how the texture is turning out on these. But these socks are like a really long-term UFO for me. I'm hoping that by talking about them, I'll be encouraged to get them done. I made the mistake, it's not really a mistake, it's just a thing that happened, of working on them when I was in the hospital for a little bit. And now I think of the hospital and how stressful that was. And then that's like what occurs to me when I think about working on these socks. So I haven't picked them up since. I find it so interesting how we as crafters put our feelings and our circumstances and our lives really into the things that we're making. I think it's why grief projects are so powerful. But I don't want to have an unfinished sock, because then it's like that moment of having a hard time is frozen in time with my sock. So I'm gonna put a really comforting movie on, something I've seen a million times that I have good associations with, like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings is a good go-to or something. And I'm going to work through my feelings, I guess, and get these socks done. So I'll let you know how it goes. I'll give you some updates. I have some news I need to share with you. I'll be posting about it in a few places, but I wanted to explain what I'm up to and why. I'm not going to do a Vlogmas Advent calendar this year, but hang on. I'm still going to do Vlogmas, like the video part of it. It will be a different format, and I think it'll be really exciting. So please don't be too sad. I know so many of you are looking forward to it. Vlogmas isn't canceled. It's just that I can't do the Advent box. I have concerns, and I've had them for a while. I've had them every year. That there's just so much time between taking the orders and fulfilling the orders. I have to pre-sale the boxes so I can purchase everything that will go into them. Just ordering the blessings cards, it's hundreds of dollars ordering all the cards, and all of the wool that I dye costs thousands of dollars. And I have to do the work to dye the wool, which can take months because I have to do it bit by bit, and I create the graphics and everything, design the boxes. It takes away from my time of making more YouTube videos. And so there's a stretch of time when I have people's money because they've paid for products, but the boxes aren't fully built yet. And that stretch of time, it just makes me so nervous, and particularly because I can't count on my health right now. I don't know for sure if I'll be at 100%. when I need to be. And my biggest fear is that I would be paid for a product that I can't follow through on, and the money to give refunds gets tied up in unfinished, undyed yarn and, flat boxes. I just can't. I need to be responsible for dealing with my own chronic illness, and this is part of that responsibility, that sometimes I have to say no even to some of the wonderful things that I've been able to do at other times. So don't despair. There will be Vlogmas videos and content to watch. What I would also suggest is that if you were super looking forward to Vlogmas, you can make your own, and here's how. Go get a package of lunch bags or treat bags or some little paper bag, and then just go into your fiber stash and pull some floofs, put a packet of tea, maybe a mint, whatever you like, and then put a kind little note to yourself in each bag and seal them up. Maybe put some lavender or cedar in there to make sure they're safe from any pests, and then pack it away into your holiday decorations. And if you do it now, you'll hopefully forget that you did it, and maybe you'll forget what's in the bag, and it will feel like a surprise when you get those decorations out. And then you can open one each day through December or whenever, and kind of make some of your own joy that way. At the beginning of this year, lots of fiber friends were doing a no-buy challenge. That means that they set a goal not to buy new fiber or yarn or tools or fabric or whatever stuff they had enough of until they stashed down and worked through some of their projects. Skipping a purchase is easier for some of us than others, and I can attest to that from my recent new spindle acquisitions. Sometimes it feels good to buy something, but as I was thinking about Vlogmas and suggesting the self-made spinning advent calendars, I thought this might also be a good idea for curbing the impulse to purchase stuff. I'm going to try it out. I've shopped my stash and dug out some things that I was really excited about when I made them, but I never did anything with them. I have these bats. They're really cool bats. And they're really fun and kind of fiery. And I have this sparkly thread with some little sequins and glitter on it. It's a perfect, easy afternoon, chunky thread ply art yarn project, like a fiery art yarn. So I'm going to use this in a future spin when I just need a pick-me-up. And I'm going to put it back into my stash until I forget what's in there, which the rate I'm going, that'll only take like a couple days, maybe a week at most. And then when I'm having a moment, when I just need some excitement and I need a little pick-me-up or a surprise of something fun and new, I can open this up, and hopefully that will help me not go buy things I don't actually need or have time to use. It'll be a way of making some of the things that are sitting around fresh. So don't leave comments about what's in here, because I might read the comment and then be reminded. But I think it's a fun idea, and yeah, I'll try it out. I'll see how it goes. I talk all the time about how I believe that the textile industry can combine innovation and preserve traditional handcrafting. So I would like to have a textile news segment in my podcasts, because my big projects focus so much on history, but I do keep up with modern stuff going on, and I want a place to talk about it. This week, I read an article from Prestige called How Jim Thompson is Keeping Thai Silk Weaving Traditions Alive. In this article, I learned about a luxury brand from Thailand called Jim Thompson. Have you ever heard of it? This brand is active in fashion, home furnishings, art, and cuisine. They have 2 branded restaurants in Japan. I mean, I've never eaten there. They have a large network of stores in Thailand, as well as Jim Thompson Home Furnishings in, I think it's distributed in more than 60 countries worldwide. It was founded by an American named James Harris Wilson Thompson, who was an ex-spy. He was OSS, which is like the first version of the CIA. So this was a while ago. This brand was founded in 1947, and this guy was kind of fascinating. He was in Thailand for reasons I'm not sure. It wasn't specific. When he was there, he met a community of Thai silk weavers in Bangkok. And utilizing their expertise in weaving silk and his expertise and, I guess, channels for marketing, he started marketing and selling hand-woven silks, which gained attention from leading names in the fashion industry. Remember, this was in the late 1940s. So at that time, the brand Jim Thompson was able to gain global recognition through such significant events as being featured in the Broadway musical The King and I, and I'm going to do my best to get this right, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother's royal tour to the United States. She wore his fashions, and people took notice. Then Jim Thompson himself mysteriously disappeared in 1967. His disappearance is unsolved, and no one knows what happened to him. However, his brand continued to thrive. Yay for the brand. The brand has expanded its identity beyond silk. They have attractions now, like the Jim Thompson House Museum and the Jim Thompson Art Center. They offer cultural and educational experiences, and they're popular tourist attractions to go and visit in Bangkok. The Jim Thompson Farm in Pak Thong Chai allows visitors to witness the silk manufacturing process, and it showcases the brand's commitment to traditional hand weaving methods. And this is where I went, yes! So that was the part of the article that really got my attention. Rather than relying on automation, Jim Thompson's Thai silk factory is increasing its production of hand-woven fabrics by custom building traditional manually operated looms. So like with an actual person who's doing the weaving at the loom rather than the automated looms that just go on their own. Their goal is to produce an impressive 60,000 meters of fabric in 2023. The article was written in metric. That's more than double what they produced last year. And remember, this is silk. The threads are so fine and they're being hand manipulated. That's an incredible amount of weaving. The production floor currently has around 50 looms, but by the end of 2023, they're planning to have 120 custom-made traditional looms in total in operation. So the company hopes that its emphasis on hand weaving will ensure the preservation of this heritage to future generations. I also read that in addition to their commitment to tradition, Jim Thompson has introduced innovations in silk production. They have developed easy care silk, which can be machine washed and ironed, as well as a high performance line of hand woven silk fabrics that are apparently both luxurious and durable, which is good. By incorporating modern textile technology, Jim Thompson combines traditional craftsmanship with advanced features like stain resiliency, repellency, what? Repellency. It repels stains. They have fabric that's silk that repels stains. I had a beautiful silk shirt a while back. I stained it at a cookout and I could never get the spot out. I could have used some stain repellent silk. It was a lovely shirt. The brand collaborates with artists as well to create unique fashion lines and has plans for future collaborations. So I love a fancy brand that invests in preserving the traditions that they profit from and provides opportunities for artists. I thought this was all pretty cool and fascinating to learn that there are brands that are still, doing both, the advancing and the preserving. Yay, love to hear it. Let me know what you think about textile news and if there's anything going on that you think maybe deserves a mention. I went thrifting earlier and I'm so excited because I found a dress that is actually in my size. Usually as a plus size person, I end up with very few options at that end of the rack, and finding anything made of natural material is even more rare. But I want breathable clothes for summer. What's a girl to do? Never give up. That's what I do. So when I'm out and about, I'll sometimes wander into a thrift shop here or there to see what they have, if anything's changed, if there's anything new on the racks. Well, when I went in this time, my eyes went right to it before I even got over to the rack. I saw the dress, I saw the fabric hanging down. I was like, natural material. I was thrilled when I got over there and realized that it was in fact in my size. My heart leapt for joy. So I bought it for $8 and I took it home. I don't want to say what the brand name of the dress is because it is a recognizable fast fashion brand and I don't want to promote that brand. What I do want to promote is thrifting until you find things that work for you and fit your body and make you feel good. And by doing so, purchasing them thrifted or secondhand, getting those things that still have a lot of life and use in them, getting those things out of landfills or burn piles, that's what I want to promote. So this dress is 100% cotton, and one of the things that I love about it so much is that I can pair it with several items I already have in my wardrobe to make it and those other pieces extra functional for me. So here is a little fashion show that I did in the park. It was a lot of fun. I brought my spindle, of course, and Mark took some great pictures of me. We had a really fun time just kind of being goofy and doing this. It was a lot of fun. And he picked me a flower. The one thing I don't quite love is that the sleeves are not quite set where I need them to be. They're just a bit too far in on my shoulders. They're not too far in on the back, just up on the shoulders. So my solutions to kind of hide that is just to add some layers. First, I have a lovely hand-spun, hand-woven scarf from Peru. This came from the Center for Traditional Textiles of Cusco. It was woven by Nilda Quispe Wilka. My next option is a knit cardigan that was another thrifted find. It is 60% silk, 25% acrylic, and 15% nylon, and this is a piece that I have gotten so much use out of. I'm seriously considering reverse engineering the pattern and spinning some yarn to recreate this cardigan. It's just so useful and I love it, and I'd love to have it in another color. That might be a fun project. I don't know when I'll have time for that, but maybe. Who knows? And my final look with this dress is to add my own hand knit crop to go with it. This is my Darren crop. The pattern is in Jacqueline Cieslick's Embody, a capsule wardrobe to knit and sew. I can't remember which yarn I used for this one. It might have been from Barnyard Knits. It was a sock weight, like a DK, and it was a D-stash yarn that I had. It was just hanging around forever. I really love that this crop took me less than 3 skeins worth of yarn to complete. So it's good for stash busting, and it's great to wear in the summer because it's not too hot. Even though it's made from wool, it's really breathable, and I like having some layers. So what do you think? Which outfit is your favorite? Friends, we have covered so much today, and I'm really excited to have this podcast going again. I will leave you with a question of the day, but first, let me know if you enjoyed this episode by clicking the thumbs up. All right, the question of the day is, what is a spinning or fiber art related question that you want me to answer in the next episode? I would love to spend some time answering subscriber questions. So you can comment your question below and I'll pull a few to talk about for next time. And so with that, it's time to cast off, cut the warp, weave in the ends, snip the threads. But if you still want to hang out, here's another video that you can watch. And until next time, happy spinning, fiber friends.